Good afternoon, and thank you for being here again this afternoon. We're grateful for all of you showing up. Before I say anything, I want to make sure that you're all aware that our commissioners and all of our folks that are working here in Glenn County are extremely concerned about our citizens, for the folks that have lost their homes, for everything that's going on right now. And as I said yesterday, this is a dynamic situation. This situation has changed in the last hour. It went from being something that they were really working on mopping up to a very hot fire that could jump another road while we're standing here. So just understand, with this wind, as I said yesterday, it creates a really difficult situation. It creates a difficult situation for the tractors. It creates a difficult situation for our firefighters that are in front of it. And it's changing. It's changing momentarily right now. So for one point, to make sure, we want to make sure everyone continues to go to the Sheriff's Facebook page for ongoing updates. Is that better? So we're doing everything we can to get the most recent information out on that Facebook page. Our PIO folks are doing a great job on that. But understand, we will have these types of conferences as Kristen feels like we need to update with more important information. So first of all, we also want to make sure, we've discussed it yesterday, I'm going to say it again today. We have folks that have been told to evacuate in the last 10 minutes. We need folks to understand they need to be prepared to evacuate. This is a dynamic fire that's changing. Right now we do not have any major issues on the south side of Highway 82, but on the north side we do. But we could have situations on the south side 82 if the wind were to shift within a couple of hours. So understand, they need to be prepared. They need to be prepared to go. They don't need to wait. If they get the evacuation order, they need to leave. Basically understand the fire has intensified. It's moving west-northwest right now, but that wind has just shifted. I don't know if any of y'all have felt that, and it could move more northerly. It's going towards Drury Lane and the Bay Harbor church areas. We have crews currently working to protect homes between Browntown Road and Highway 110 north of Highway 82. Understand, we currently have now 87 basically living spaces, living places that have been destroyed. If this fire doesn't shift, we could have more than that before dark tonight, but 87 homes, living places, dwellings have been destroyed. We have basically a strong response. We'll let Georgia Forestry tell you exactly how many they have, but they have a huge contingent of folks here. Right now, we have a total of 228 personnel on scene. That includes law enforcement, that includes firefighters, and we've got firefighters from all over South Georgia. They're continuing to come in. So we had some that have been relieved, and we have more that have come in. We currently have basically 6 brush engines. We've got 35 personnel or more with Georgia Forestry. He'll say more about that. We've got 25 fire trucks, 12 tank tenders, and 10 brush trucks on scene. So this is a huge endeavor. We also, after the governor announced a state of emergency for this area, we now have a GEMA team here that's on site that has brought additional resources. Right now we're in a situation where if this continues to grow, this could become a FEMA event. It has not yet been declared, but that could happen. So be aware, this situation is continuing to be fluid. It's not a really good situation for the folks that are in front of this fire. And I'm going to turn it over now to the sheriff, and then we'll be glad to answer questions when we're done. Sheriff.
Good afternoon. Thank y'all for coming out. At this time, there have been no reported injuries. The fire is approximately 15% contained and has impacted around 5,000 acres right now, and currently damage assessments are underway. There's been no changes to road closures, except, as y'all can see behind you, Highway 82 has been opened, contingent to be closed at night depending on smoke/fog situation. We've had the past 2 mornings extremely heavy fog with zero visibility in areas, so it could be closed at some point tonight, but currently it is open, and we hope to be able to leave it open. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Blair Joyner, Region 5 Manager with Georgia Forestry. Just give you a few quick updates. But first of all, you know, when you have a massive wildfire like we're having right now in Brantley County, it takes all agencies and it takes all hands on deck. So we appreciate the cooperation from all the local authorities. We're reporting the fire now at 5,000 plus acres. As the county manager, Mr. Kaysen, said, the fire is continuing to grow right now to the north, still showing 15% contained, but fire remains under a full suppression strategy and aggressive efforts to control. You know, one of our fire orders is fight fire aggressively, but provide for safety first. So we've always got to provide for firefighter safety. Overall in our region, we're experiencing exceptional drought conditions. D4, very low humidities, high fire danger indicators with wind, transport wind speeds, and mixing heights. I do want to touch on TFR. We have a temporary flight restriction in the area. When we have federal aircraft above, as we do now, making tanker drops to try to protect homes, we don't need any drones from any local agency or local homeowners in the area with drones in the air. If they're in the air, the federal assets will set down and not work with us. Pay attention to your local directives from your local authorities. As they said, there is a evacuation in place at this time. We do have 20 dozers on scene, 7 engines, and 10 fire line supervisors. More has been ordered at this time, and it has been ordered over the last few days. We continue to get resources in. But like I said, overall in our region and our state, lower half of the state, has been in drought conditions. So this is a major wildfire, but we're continuing to have other fires across the state that we're dealing with. But we cannot thank our federal and state and local county and city partners. It is always a lot of chaos in the beginning. That's the nature of the beast sometimes, but we always want to bring a little bit of control to chaos, and it's good to have people that you already know and relationships built before we ever get started. We have ordered a federal complex incident management team in to assist managing fire activity, and they'll bring some more order to the fire activity and helping in the community as needed. But we are continuing to protect our state. It takes all of us. One agency cannot do it by themselves. So with that, I want to thank you for doing your part and ask everybody to stay safe.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Chuck White, the Director of Emergency Management for Camden County, directly supporting the Board of Commissioners for Brantley County. And I want to open by saying thank you to all of our local, state, and federal partners. You heard it, we're taming chaos. That's the strategy. Life safety remains the #1 goal. But I want to also thank the fact that we're, at the same time that we're responding in that operations mode, we're planning and working in recovery. The human element can't be forgotten, and to that, I'm thankful to have the partners from the Red Cross here on deck with us, plugged into the incident management team and the Emergency Operations Center, along with the Salvation Army on deck, and all other partners extended from us that are supporting. We'll have additional information coming out regarding sheltering that we'll hopefully have released this evening that will be in support with the Red Cross. We have a helicopter coming by, so stand by. Okay. So that is the sound of firefighting, folks. So again, I want to thank all of you for coming here carrying the message. This continues to be a very high threat environment with a lot of unknowns. We cannot control the weather. Fire behavior is what fire behavior is, and it does things sometimes that we can't calculate. We're trying to stay ahead of it as much as we can with hard work from a lot of partners who are actively out there fighting the fire. But we're also, as you heard, we're doing active evacuations of areas. So damage assessments are being done, and you heard about the potential. We've got to get those up to the state of Georgia. We're doing that. Those damage assessments, though, will continue as more affected areas get identified to us. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming out, and I think at that point I'll open it up for questions.
Can someone clarify the size of the fire? Yesterday we were told 5,000 acres. This morning the GFC and the Sheriff's Office published online that it was 4,400 acres. Now you're saying 5,000 plus. Just where are you estimating at this hour?
All right, so I'll address that. You're always, when you take a first flight, sometimes the fire is bigger than it seems. We do our flights with heat imagery. Sometimes the column carries heat over past the fire line, so that makes it look bigger. And as we continue to true it up, that's why it's went down to a little over 4,000 acres. But we know yesterday afternoon the fire made a run. The fire's making a run now, and we give an update acreage every day at 1,800 hours for a better accurate update. But you will see that changes every day because truth in a map is hard from the air, but as we can get people on the ground and get good points, and then that map will get more and more accurate.
So right now, 5,000 plus.
5,000 plus right now.
I've got a question for you. Yes, sir. Look, if you look at this big picture, right? The best news of all
takes a lot of water here. This is just one tree.
bad news.
Yeah, the heat from the wood absorbed heat, so containment.
What is your biggest worry at this point?
Our biggest worry is always life. You know, people having enough time to evacuate. You've heard the sheriff and Mr. Joe Case and the EMA director, Mr. White, you know, be ready to go at a spur moment. Don't wait to the last minute. We seen this fire Tuesday afternoon. It moved in several different directions very quickly. Be ready to go. That's our number one priority is life safety. And just so you know, we are taking measures even right now with homes being threatened. We dropped 15 retarded drops Tuesday, and we've already ordered in 2 now because it met one of our trigger points coming to Highway 110 on the north side of the fire, and we went ahead and ordered 2 tanker drops so we can try to protect those homes.
And the best thing, obviously, to save life is if the people heed evacuation orders. Are people heeding evacuation?
No, I can't answer that question. That'd be for the sheriff.
Sheriff, are you there?
You want me to answer? So it's an inconsistent application of evacuation. And what I mean by that is we have some folks that are heeding that warning and they're leaving. And we have other folks, I mean, I've been in the fire area today on both sides of it, and we have folks that are sitting in their front yards running sprinklers. So some are leaving and some are staying. And we can't, unless we're told we have to make them leave, we can't make them leave.
And the people who are running sprinklers are literally playing with fire.
That's exactly right. And the total dwellings is 87, not in the 70s. It's now up to 87 living spaces.
You guys went from
Yes.
54 to 87. Are you guys losing this fight?
Well, I can tell you right now, if that fire right there moves across 110 west, we're losing that fight in that area. But we've won or winning the fight south of 82. So there's not in this situation, there's not a lose or a win. This is an ongoing dynamic fight that basically they're doing everything they can, as Blair said, to provide safety for those firefighters, but also to provide safety for those structures. I can tell you on 110 right now, we probably have somewhere between 50 and 70 local firefighters trying to provide structure protection while they're trying to get this thing to stop moving towards Highway 110.
Mr. Case, an hour ago or so you said that you were prepared to come and give us a far different press conference. Now we're looking at a smoke plume and we're getting flown over by helicopters. What does that mean to you that an hour ago you thought you were in mop up and now you're back in active fire?
Well, quite honestly, that's a great question, but I've said at every press conference I've been in since I've been standing in front of anyone in the press, this is a dynamic fire situation, and I've said every time I've been up here, if that wind picks up, it changes the whole dynamic of what we're doing. And unfortunately, earlier today, we didn't have very much wind. It was very low wind. We did have some heat, but we didn't have much wind. We had 2 commissioners that were doing a flyover earlier. They saw the hot spots pick up, and literally within the last hour, we went from no evacuation need to a crisis evacuation need. It's just a constantly changing situation with the wind.
Governor Brian Kemp said yesterday that the fire may have started from a balloon hitting a power line. Can you expand on that? At this point, is that being investigated, and any more details?
So I can tell you right now, there's no clear, certain, definitive answer to how this fire started. We do know that we have not seen any clear evidence of any arson, but I can tell you that still could be the case. We do know that we had a power surge at a certain time on Monday afternoon, but we do not know for sure that might have started it. And we know that we haven't had any major train issues. And for those of y'all that aren't aware, when we have trains come through a county that has very dry grass on both sides of the tracks, we've had multiple fires in this county this year that were caused just by a train going by. So right now we don't have any clear and concise answer to how it got started.
Do you have any historical context? You gave a new number of dwellings or homes that were destroyed. Is there a historical context for the state of Georgia and the wildfire severity right now? Is this the worst wildfire events in the state's history, or something along those lines?
Let me speak to this just a minute.
In this county. Probably in this county.
Yeah, it's probably in this county. It's probably the historical data, we started pulling data several months ago. We seen this coming. This is nothing that we did not see coming as far as the drought conditions. That's something that we're continually always watching. I will say this is the 8th driest year since 1895. And to put some things into perspective, because I've been doing this for 28 years with Georgia Forestry, in 2002, 2007, 11, and 17, when most of you know we had major wildfires, just to give you one indicator, and this is only one indicator of our fire, is drought indexes. In the middle of March, in those major fire seasons, our drought index was at 150, meaning when you're 1.5 inches down in the soil, you would find moisture. Coming into this March, we was at 500 and 600 in the drought index. That shows you the severity of the drought conditions coming out of winter and into the spring, which is our fire season. We go all the way back, and here's just a rule of thumb. We didn't get a tropical depression or any kind of tropical moisture, and when that usually happens, you normally have a major fire season.
Earlier, the sheriff had said that displaced by evacuations.
I'm sorry?
Can you estimate how many people have been displaced by evacuation?
So that's another dynamic number. We estimated yesterday we were around 100 number. I can tell you right now we have probably 50 to 60 homes in that area that we've announced today. And if all of those were to leave, we'd be in the 150 to 200 range.
Earlier, the sheriff had said that there were no reports of injuries. I heard earlier that at least one firefighter was injured. Is that not accurate?
No, that was inaccurate, but that was a minor injury that was not reported. They did not go to any hospital or anything like that. We've got a great EMS team here. They took care of that, treated him on site, and went on.
Any idea when evacuees may be able to get back to their homes if they're listening right now?
Okay, hold on one second. I'm going to go here, then I'm going to go here, then I'm going to go here. So basically, our objective earlier today, and Chuck could talk to this, we were looking at possibly returning to home tomorrow. Yeah. That was our objective earlier today when we had a briefing. This may determine that it may not be tomorrow. It all is dependent upon what happens with this today. So we're going to try to get these folks back to their house just as quickly as we safely can. And we have a system that they've been working on and put in place that we will identify. If they come in and ask us, we will identify the safety of that zone. We have a great system that's got checks and balances. And once it's implemented, we will make sure before they go in that it's safe for them to go in. And that hopefully could happen possibly as early as tomorrow. Yes, ma'am.
Where they can go?
So I can tell you we've got American Red Cross here. We're working on setting up a couple of different things. Chuck, do you want to answer that?
I can answer that. Yeah, so what we're building out with our voluntary organizations acting in a disaster like the Red Cross, like the Salvation Army, our faith-based community, is trying to move ourselves towards long-term or intermediate and then long-term recovery. To do that, you got to get a few boots on the ground. You've got to get some receiving. We're looking at the potential. There are 2 local sites, and that will be addressed, and I think hopefully the next press release, that are taking donated goods. We're not asking at this point for any donated goods. We have no identified unmet need currently here that is not being addressed by the existing resources, including those from the county, from providers, and from the Red Cross and from the Salvation Army, who will be here in the morning. Our goal is stand up a functioning recovery unit that can start to intake potential those that have been impacted, victims, and start to look at how they can help them socially, psychologically, and economically. So that process is underway, and I have a huge team meeting in the morning that directly supports that.
Chuck, one other thing to answer real quick is tell them what's going on with Red Cross in Glenn County as far as the shelter.
Sure. So Red Cross, who I have standing here with us today, is supporting us by extending out. We got to kind of get out of the area here where we get more resources and more access to things. So Glenn County, Brunswick, I want to thank Glenn County for supporting us and the Red Cross in Glenn County. But we'll have a shelter operation that will open at noon tomorrow. That shelter operation information is going to be identified on the next press release.
We have a question straight ahead, right?
Go ahead.
We've seen several people going to assess their damage of their homes, just the homes that are like completely burned up. Would you recommend that people not do that?
Yeah, we would say no to that right now based on changing fire conditions. Here's what the county manager is alluding to when he talked about the process. What we hope to start doing tomorrow at some point before noon, hopefully, is we have a system in place that allows someone to call our call center that is a resident of Brantley County. They're going to identify their address, They'll tell us they've been evacuated from that area. They're going to want to know the status. Our call center is going to take that information to our dispatch point. Dispatch will go to a strike team, that is law enforcement personnel who are trained to go into the field to the affected area, identify any associated hazards and the existing status of the dwelling that is in play. They will then come back to my fire command. Fire command will need to assess that against the bigger picture of fire behavior and concerns or mop-up areas that we're working on. And once that is done, that final point of decision comes back to my unified command, and at the unified command level, we will make the determination of whether or not it is safe for them to repatriate with their home.
Fox?
Yeah, so thank you. So is it fair to report that this fire has escalated at this point? And do you feel that more resources need to come in? Do you feel that more resources need to come in from?
Well, I'm going to answer your question, then I'm going to turn it over to Blair. So again, late yesterday, this fire was seemingly slowing down. This morning, this fire was operating very slowly. In fact, I was with the tractors this morning at 6 o'clock as they were dispersing. Okay, so we were confident at 6 o'clock this morning that they were going to get some breaks around it. Now, he can tell you what's happened since 6 o'clock this morning, Blair.
So you are correct. More resources, and that's what just what we've done. We've ordered in, I've said in my notes earlier, we've ordered in a federal complex incident management team. It'll be the red team will be coming in. I've talked with one of their ops guys today. He was asking about critical needs, and my critical needs with him was big dozers, big site prep dozers, some things that are on contract, more engines to be able to go in and mop up effectively. We get a line in, but if you ain't got no way, we got to cool it off, right? We got to build a bigger road, we got to cool it off. And so I've explained to those critical needs. They're already placing those needs before they ever get here. And so when we turn the fire over to them, there's going to be more boots on the ground.
And again, I just want to clarify language from a reporting standpoint. Is it fair to say that we are now in an escalated environment out there in this fire?
As of this point right now, yes, it's escalated.
And what about debris from Hurricane Helene? We know that it had something to do with the fact that the fire lit up. How widespread was the damage, and was it impossible to get it all out?
So your question was, what about any debris that we had from Helene? Well, quite honestly, so you all will know, our county was very fortunate in Helene. In fact, we had minimal debris in Helene. We lost very few pine trees. None of our major forests had any major damages. Most of the debris field began about 4 miles west of Brantley County and Ware County. So we had no major issues with debris from Helene in this fire situation.
You mentioned the dynamic situation that we're in. Specifically, I want to talk about wind, though. Trying to account and prepare for, the wind that's to come. I'm sure difficult, not impossible task, but what do you guys have in place to at least try and prepare for how that wind changes?
You want to explain that? What y'all are doing?
So we're constantly looking at the weather, and we're looking at the forecast. Today's prediction, it's a prediction, right? So today was predicted the winds to come out of the southwest, and they come out of, they started shifting around a little bit to the southeast or the south. But then one thing that's in this county, when you get a lower wind speed, then you start getting sea breeze. And when sea breeze comes in, it flips you around to the east side. So it's a constant battle here of where you placing resources. And so it's all based on a prediction, and we're constantly looking at 5 to 10 days out and planning at least 24, 48 hours ahead based on the predictions of the wind.
How much did that 5 to 10 day plan change in the last hour?
Well, we knew the wind was going to change when the cool front come through. Over the weekend, we had a cold front come through with no rain, and the wind was more out of the north, and we knew that. And then all of a sudden, we knew that the wind was going to switch. But you gotta, in a firefighting world, you gotta fight fire where it's going at the moment, and where structures and life and property is. And when the wind switches, sometimes you got to go to the other side of the fire. And so it's been a constant battle with winds and the cool front coming in, low humidities, high transport wind speed. There's a lot of dynamics that have been lining up perfect for a major wildfire.
I've heard that at least one tractor had been lost. Is that accurate, or is that
That is correct. The operator's okay. The tractor some hot debris fell in the tractor. We think, one ain't 100% sure, but some debris fell on the tractor, causing that tractor to catch fire. But luckily, the operator was at the dirt road when that happened.
One final question.
Either to the sheriff or the county manager. I'm sure have spoken to some of your citizens that have lost.
Dick, so after this, when they wrap up, you can just end
What are you
it.
telling them? What are you hearing from them?
I've not had the opportunity to speak to anyone that's lost a home yet. I've been at the command center about 99% of the time. I have talked to some residents, and you know, they're concerned, they're scared, and I get it. They want to check, they want to get back and check on their stuff, but we've got to keep them safe. And sometimes it's hard to tell them no, but we've got to keep them safe. Our lives are the most important thing, and we're going to be here for them, and we're going to do everything we can to protect them and help them.
And I'll respond to that also. So I can tell you right now, we have 2 commissioners here this afternoon. Our commitment, and we've made this as publicly as we can, and we will continue to do so. We are genuinely concerned, and we empathize and sympathize with their loss. But these commissioners are committed to do whatever it takes to help us help them rebuild as soon as this event's over. And so, unfortunately, with FEMA coming in, there are more resources, but we're ready to do whatever we can to help the citizens as soon as the event's where it's safe for us to begin to do so.